another up-close video for you today, and this is a sort of a larger release from Tonic. It's 4 sets of edger dies and 4 sets of duo sentiment dies. So they're the same theme of sentiment in each of the sets, but you have a horizontal and a vertical version of the sentiment as well. And they should be launching together on Create and Craft, so I wanted to have them all together in the video because all my samples use both of them together. So let's look at the sentiments first. So these are actually empty packaging because when I was working with them it was much easier to have already put them on my magnetic sheets, you know, to access them easier. So I'll show you the real size of the dies in conjunction with these as well, because the you can see here it says reduced size, so these are actually smaller on the packaging than they are in real life. They're a really decent sized set of sentiments. So we have the thanks sentiment duo, where you get thanks, which cuts into the card, but you also get the bubble to cut it out of the card as well. And that's the vertical. Then the horizontal, you get thanks again, and you get the one that cuts into the card and it cuts it out of the card. But the cool thing about these is, I hope you can kind of see, so here on that A there is a little line, and same on the K, and all the way through this one you can see all these little lines. So when you cut them both together, so you cut the outside and the inside, there is no pieces stuck in your die. Like, everything gives you 2 sentiments, if that makes sense. I've got some here actually. I will show you because it's probably easier for you to see than for me to explain. So we'll go with the thanks because I have some of these cut out that are leftovers. But look, so this is, oh, you can see there the different size. See, it's much bigger than the picture. But that is cutting both of them together. Obviously they're different colours so you can see them, but that's cutting everything together. But you can see there are no gaps in there. So when you're cutting all these sentiments, you don't have to poke out any pieces from your die, which is really good. And then obviously you can use them. Just the interior one gives a gorgeous sentiment on your card, or when you've cut them both together, it's still completely legible, and that's the same for all 8 of the sentiments in these 4 sets as well. So, like if you cut them, if you want to cut this one, you might as well put the outside die on and cut the outside die as well, because then you'll have 2 sentiments to use, and you can also just cut the outside one if you wanted to. Then you could back that behind this one in a different colour, or you can just stick this one straight onto the back as well. Have I got one cut out? Yes, I do. So this is just that's the 3 things you can get out of this basically. That's just cutting the inside die, that's just cutting the outside die, that's cutting both of them together. But imagine they were in different colours. You can layer one on top of let me get another one. Have I got a coloured one? I haven't got a coloured one, but anyway, so that's how one effect you could get, sticking one on top of the other, or you could recess them back inside each other if you wanted to, or you can put the outside one back on a solid backing plate and do it that way. So all of the 8 sentiments in this set you can do this with, but this one is my favourite. I really love this thanks one. Yeah, so that's what you can do with them. That's how their verso-ness works, and I just really love that you don't have to poke any pieces out. Like, I was cutting loads of these for my cards and cutting both together to get this kind of effect, and then suddenly it dawned on me, I was like, how am I cutting these all so quickly? And then I was like, oh, I don't have to poke any little pieces out of the die, so it makes it so much quicker for cutting loads of them out, because you're not having to constantly get a pokey tool and poke out like the tiny bit of the A that gets stuck in the die cut or whatever. So I really love these dies. And so we have thanks, which goes vertically and horizontally. Then we have the love sentiment, which has love going vertically but with love going horizontally. Then we have sorry, which is my second favourite after thanks, where we have sorry going vertically and sorry going horizontally as well. and then we have the For You sentiment set where you have For You vertically but you have Just For You horizontally. So I will get the dies and show you the difference in size, because I've been putting them in one of the Tonic medium die storage pockets, because this is how I store all my Tonic dies, the smaller sets, and it just makes it so much easier when you're working with lots of them. So this is the difference in the sizes. So you can see there with the thanks, from the packaging, it is quite a bit bigger. And what does it say? It doesn't say how much they reduced it by, but it's probably like a quarter, maybe even a half that they've reduced the size by. So they're really decent sized sentiments. And then we've got the With Love ones. So you can see there just the difference in the sizes, and all of them, as I said at the beginning, all of them work the same way. So you can see there there's no pieces that you would have to poke out of the die, because it all comes out and creates a whole second word. And that's the With Love one. Then we have the Sorry, which is my second favourite after Thanks. So we've got that one's that big sorry, and then we have the vertical sorry as well. They've scaled them the same, so you can kind of just, know that it's about extra quarter or double the size really. And then we have the For You ones as well. I might as well show you them all. So that's the difference in the size as well. And you'll see all of these cut out on all of my cards, because I've used all of them on the 10 cards that I've made. So that is the sentiments, which is half of this new release of dies. Then we also have these edger dies as well. So there are 4 different edger dies. This one kind of, you get an extra die within it, but all of the die sets you have an outside edge which doesn't cut along this edge, and then you have the interior edge as well. And with a lot of them, like if you just cut the interior edge, you wouldn't get this gorgeous little detail on this one, or if you just cut the interior edge, you wouldn't get some of these, like the outside of the swirly flourishes and things. But I'll show you the dies as well. I think these two are my favourite, but I did really enjoy working with these two actually as well. I really love the debossed detail on this die. Yeah, so they're the 4 different dies. We have Glorious Gate Edge, then we have Golden Gate Edge, then we have Rainbow Rose Edge, where you get this extra little die that goes in the centre, and we have the Beautiful Bunch Edge as well, which is really pretty. It's really modern, which I really like, but it's a real mixture, because these look more traditional but these two look more modern to me. But yeah, so I'll show you the dies up close. Again, I think, yeah, they've reduced the size on the packaging again as well. Let's show you this one. So they come in 2 pieces like this. So you have the interior detail and then you have the exterior cutting edge, but the cutting line stops here, and it stops here. So it doesn't cut it out of the card. So you could easily have an extended piece of card and have a tab that you could then make these into gatefolds and have 2 of them on your card, or you could just have you could wrap that behind your card and stick some tape down here and have it as a pocket on the front of your card. Not having that cutting edge really gives you more options, and you can also like cut 2 of them. I mean, I've done it on one of my cards on using this one, the Glorious Gate Edge, because it's more of a symmetrical shape, but it would work with any of them as well. You can cut 2 and get more of a bigger element. And then you can see what I mean here. So the outside edge has got these extra leaves, but if you just cut the interior edge you wouldn't get those extra leaves on the edge of the design. But you can equally get like different different but both really pretty results if you just wanted to cut it into the card or cutting it out of the card as well. So you've just got two options because they've given it to you in two separate pieces. Because that's one of the things I love about Tonic with their Verso dies. I mean, you could just buy that as a single die that was all stuck together, but it really limits your possibilities. All you can do is cut that as it is, but when you've got the two pieces, you can do like cool different techniques where you're just cutting the intricate detail and filling it full of things, and then you can cut both of them together and stick it on top of it. You know, there's loads of different extra things that you can then do with the die when they give it to you in two pieces, which is really cool. So that is that one, which is the Beautiful Bunch Edge, which is one of my favourites. And then we have this one, which is the, sorry for my squeaky chair, Rainbow Rose Edge, which is gorgeous, and it's symmetrical as well down this part of the design. But for this one you also get this little die, which I've used on one of my cards as well, but the outside of this is like a complete die, it's got the inside and outside together, but the outside edge of that, if you cut it within here, you then end up with like a proper donut, or like a half donut kind of shape as well. So I'll show you that on one of my cards too. And again, you don't have that back cutting edge like on all of them. You don't have the back cutting edge, but you have the separate detail on the outside edge. Then the final two are the Golden Gate Edge, which is this one. So you can see some of these pieces, if you just cut it into the card, you'd miss off some of these swirly pieces. But both look gorgeous. So that's that one, and then we have the Glorious Gate Edge, which I cut two of them together, and I really love this debossed detail. When I cut them both together, I picked out this detail because putting them both together you get a really cool shape, so I'll show you that on that card as well. So that is all of the dies, and oh, actually if I show you, okay, that one says it's reduced size, but it's practically the same size. Maybe they didn't mean to say that on the packaging, but anyway. So I think they might be the same size as the actual die on the packaging. Oh no, okay, it is a little bit reduced on some of them. I suppose it's just to fit it on the front of the packet. So that is all of the dies. And then I tried to split them into sentiments, so like what I'd done with what sentiments. So this is the Sorry. I've done 3 using the Sorry die, and I tried to do lots of different techniques with them as well. And I've used 2 of the different edges on these as well. I've used my 2 favourite edges on these ones. So I've used the Sorry Sentiment Duo, the Rainbow Rose Edge, and the Beautiful Bunch Edge on these cards. So for this one, I've done the cool like faux stained glass look, where you have cut the intricate die cut, stuck it onto acetate, and then you go back in on the back of it and flood it with like just normal PVA glue, and then you tip on different colours of glitter, and then once it's dry and you turn it over, you've got these gorgeous glittery sections on the card. I really love this look. And then to tie in the centres of the flowers, I added a strip of glitter on the inside of the card, but I also did with the sentiment, I cut both of them together, and then I cut the solid of the vertical as well. I stuck one of both of them together onto the solid, then I filled it full of glue and added the glitter. Then once it was dry, I stuck on top the other one where I'd cut both of them together to hide all the messiness, and then because I'd cut 2 of them with both together, I had 2 extra sentiments. So in the background I just did white on white the inside Sorry as well, so just to add something else to the card, otherwise it would have been a little bit plain just with that on there. But yeah, so that's the first one that I've done. Then obviously when I see a word die that has a bubble around it, I obviously want to make a shaker card. So I did this little Sorry one using the horizontal Sorry, and I still have the Oh, maybe I don't. Oh no, I do. It's here. I still have this piece if I wanted to use it on another card as well, because I cut both dies together to create the aperture and give me my sorry word. So you can see that one came out just from there. And to create this background, I actually used, you know, this Tim Holtz Distress Marker spritzing tool. It works really well with Nuvo Aquaflows and the Nuvo glitter markers. That's what I used to create that speckledy spray effect in the background. And it is glittery. I think maybe, yeah, you can just about tell there. That's some of the Nuvo glitter marker that did that glittery section. And then I took one of the, or two of them actually, I took the two purple ink pads from the Nuvo range and just did a little bit of ink blending on there as well to add some extra pattern. And then for the drops I used Lilac Waterfall Glitter Nuvo drops, and I put a little swirl of gloss white drops on the top of them. And I didn't film any of the cards that I'm showing you, all 10 of them. I didn't film any of them. One, because I have so many videos that I still haven't edited, but I never used to film the cards. I do for like the television shows, so you know, that's just something I've just been experimenting with, but then I end up with so many videos that I haven't got time to edit. So anyway, but okay, this is another card that I did with the sorry, and I also used the Rainbow Rose edge die, and this is what I was trying to explain. So it cuts a semicircle when you cut them both together, but if you put that smaller intricate die in the centre, it kind of follows the same pattern to give you an inside edge to sort of create it into a donut then as well. And then for this card I used some pure platinum mousse and stenciled it onto the background first in the areas where I thought there wasn't going to be the two die cuts. Then I stuck the two die cuts on and I coloured them with my Nuvo alcohol pens, and look, in the places where the stenciling went underneath the die cut, it actually looks really cool because the pens have like coloured the pure platinum mousse and made it sort of a pinky red colour, which I really like actually. So that's that one. And to create the sentiment, I scribbled on the same colours I'd been using to colour the roses onto a piece of white card, and then I just cut the sentiment out so that it matched perfectly. And I've used some of the Cherry Heart Nuvo Pure Sheen gems to finish decorating that as well. I really like how that one turned out. So those are my 3 cards using the Sorry sentiment set. Then I did 3 using the Thanks sentiment set, because the Sorry and the Thanks are my 2 favourites, so that's why I ended up using them more. And I also used 2 of the edger dies on these as well. So this one is just using the Thanks, and all I did was picked out 6 different colours of like rainbow card, and I put both dies, oh they're not even in there, both of the Thanks dies for the vertical together and cut them out of all the different colours that I'd picked out. Then straight into the card blank, I cut out the main die twice and the inside die twice, and then I stuck vellum over the inside of the card to fill in the gaps, and then I just, you can see my hand through it, and then I just went back through with the rainbow colours and either stuck one, the intricate one, onto the vellum so you can still see the vellum, you still see through the vellum, and then I stuck the outside ones on as well, or an extra thin one, whatever I felt like sort of went better. And then these ones, I was going to put the outside edge around them, but I decided just to leave them as they were in the end, and I really like how that turned out. It's just really simple because you're cutting straight into the card blank, and it's really, I think it's really effective as well. That's just using 2 dies. So if you don't have that big of a budget, you know, just investing in one set of these dies, you can really do lots of different cards with them as well. It's not just a sentiment that you stick onto your card once you finished it. It can be the whole card as well. And then I finished off with some gloss white Nuvo drops just to sort of add some extra details onto the card. Then, so as soon as I saw this die, I just thought that would make like a great end point of a card, and like it would be standing on this bit. Originally I thought, oh, you could just cut it into the card and it would stand up, but I did find that you needed some acetate behind it. But so I did do my idea of it just standing like that, and it kind of looks like the bottom of the card is like really intricate and it's see-through, but I've added the acetate there to strengthen it as well, because this is quite flimsy once you've cut it. And to create the background of the card, I just used, so I took an A4 piece of card and I cut it in half lengthways, so that you could create the sort of top folding card. And then I took my Aquaflows, and from one end of this long strip of card I coloured, I think it was Matador red, and then I think it's like cherry, is it cherry? No, red apple. Then I used flamingo pink, and then I think it was spiced ginger. And then I took a water brush and blended that up even more to get it to be a proper ombre effect. Then once it was dry, I splattered on some of the Midas Touch pen to give the gold look. And then once all that was dry, I cut the intricate piece into the bottom of the card, and then I scored it to be, I think it was 13.5 from the bottom of the intricate piece, you know, up to 13.5, and then I folded the card over and trimmed off the rest of the white card that was on the back, so that we actually got a proper even card. And then obviously I used the, oh yeah, for this one I actually used, I'd forgotten that, I used Thanks and the For You set. So I cut the Thanks, but then I cut the S off of it so it just says thank, and then I stole the U out of the Just For You and put that on as well. I just thought it was something different to show you how you can snip your different dies up and use them differently as well. And obviously I just coloured the Thanks, or the Thank, in the same colours I'd used for the darker part of the card, and then I used some Midas Touch over the top to give the gold sparkle too. So that's that one. And then for this one I used that small piece from the Rainbow Rose edge. I just used that small piece and stuck two of them back to back to give this sort of circular, or that way around, to give this circular element. And then I went back over the top with Lilac Waterfall shimmer powder, which came out in the Dream in Colour collection, and I also squeezed in a little bit of Lilac Blossom Aquaflow as well, just to add some extra colour to it. And then I coloured an extra piece of card while I was doing this, so that that one Thanks stands out really well, and the other Thanks I just put some pearly white card behind the white apertures. And again, that was cutting both dies together, and then the backing die I just cut the outside die, so they backed on each other perfectly. And I used a glitter marker, which was the Wild Lavender, just to finish the edge of the card as well. So that's the Thanks card. Okay, then I've got two with the With Love, or the Love die set, which I've now lost. That one, and I also used this one, the Beautiful Bunch edge as well. So this one's really simple. This was just cutting the vertical Love, cutting them both together, so you got the like bubbly sort of one and the really fine intricate one as well. In one cut through the machine you get both of them, which really saves a lot of time actually, especially when you're building a background like this one where you're filling it with the die cuts. If you can get two with just one pass through the machine, it's really time saving. So I stuck them on, and then I used Picked Raspberry and Festive Berries Distress inks to blend all over the background. Then I flicked on some water to give the splatty look, and then I finished off with some White Blizzard Nouveau drops all over the place as well, and they sort of picked up the colour, so they sort of camouflage into it, which I really like. And then I finished off with one of the Sentiment strip dies as well, just to show that you can mix them in with other sentiments you've already got as well. You don't have to just use them by themselves. Did I say at the beginning, I just stuck all of these on. They're just white card on white card, and I stuck them all on. And this technique is, I think it's called like the faux embossing folder technique, because you're creating a repeating pattern that looks like you did it in an embossing folder and then just inked it, but it's actually done with die cuts. Then this one's using the horizontal with love, and I cut it into 2 pieces, so you have the with up there and the love down here. And I was just playing around with all the different products in the Woodland Walk collection that's just come out. So this was the new pistachio ink pad and the new like metallic mint Nouveau Drop, and I used the 3 different colours of Nouveau Drop to do the filling in effect that I really like behind all of these flowers from the Beautiful Bunch Edger die. And then I also added a little bit of Aquaflow onto these leaf elements, because they were looking really white compared to all the coloured flowers. And then I also came in with a few little Nouveau Drops just to embellish that as well. So these are the 3 new metallic colours from the Woodland Walk collection, and I also added in the apple green gloss crystal drop as well. I put a little bit of it in here and then some on the leaves. So that's that one. Then I also did 2 with the For You die set, and oh my gosh, I used that one again as well. And the For You, and then this is the one where I used the Glorious Gate too. So for this one, really simple. I took some of the Craft Perfect watercolour card this time. I don't usually use watercolour card, but it was just on my desk, so I went for it. And this is the Solar Flare shimmer powder and the new Falling Leaves shimmer powder as well. And I just created a messy background, just having fun tapping on the colour and spraying it with water. Then once it was dry, I went back in and cut out the Beautiful Bunch edge from it. And then I raised the edge die up on 3D foam, but I stuck the rest of the background down with flat adhesive, so it kind of just gives a little bit of interest to the background. You could have added aqua shimmer behind this before you stuck it down, or glitter card, or something to show through the apertures as well. But I wanted to, because you've got all the mica in the background, I wanted to leave it more just the plain white card. And then for the sentiment, I used the For You one, and I just cut the vertical one 2 or 3 times and stacked them up to give a sort of thicker element, and that was again cutting both of the dies together. So if I cut that 3 times, I then actually have 3 sentiments that are the For You that are left from the inside. I should have them here. Oh, they're all getting tangled. Oh. Yes, there we go. So this is one of the actual For You ones that come out of the centre of that one as well, just so you can see. And again, there is no waste pieces, so see that fits perfectly back inside it, so you don't have to poke anything out of your dies, which I really love that. Yeah, so, and then I just finished it off with a few sequins, and I put some gloss white Nouveau Drops in the centres of them. Then finally, the last one was using the horizontal Just For You, and I just shadowed that in the centre with gold and white. And then the background piece is this one cut twice, but see, originally I was thinking, oh, maybe I won't be able to get them lined up properly, so I was going to hide this section. I was going to have the card this way and hide this section, so you had 2 of the actual piece that you see on here, and the sentiment would have gone across here. But when I cut it, I realised about this debossed detail. You can see it on the packaging, but I just hadn't really noticed it that much. But when you cut them 2 next to each other, so I've cut one like this and then one like this, it joins up and makes this really cool little pattern. So then I just traced that with a white gel pen to make it stand out, and I really like how that turned out. And this, all the papers on this one are from the new Woodland Walk collection. The background one is one of their new textured cardstocks, and the foreground one is one of their new handmade cotton papers. I think it's called bamboo something. But look how well that cuts with that intricate die, and you still got all of the detailed pattern on that handmade cotton paper. It's really cool that you can die cut them, but you still have the pattern on there as well. And this is part of the Woodland Walk paper pad as well. So that was all of my 10 samples, which took me quite a long time to get through. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this look at the new 4 new edge dies and the 4 new Sentiment Duo die sets as well. I'm sure you'll be seeing these pop up in my videos. I didn't film any of these ones though, so you won't see any of these. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed having a look at them and, you know, seeing what they look like. I know you get, this is really odd, but I know you can see what they look like on the packaging, but sometimes just seeing them in orange and white, you don't really realise what they can do until you cut them out. Like when I'm planning my ideas, I'm kind of like, okay, I could probably do this and this and this and this, but once you start cutting them, you're a bit like, oh wow, I could do this with this and that, and you know, there's loads of things you don't think about until you've actually seen the die being used. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but I find that. So I'm hoping that it's useful for you to see that kind of thing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!